In 1996, Super Mario 64 didn't just launch alongside the Nintendo 64, it redefined what video games could be. This was more than just another Mario adventure, it was the blueprint for 3D gaming, a revolutionary leap that set the standard for platformers, open-world design, and player freedom. From the moment you stepped out of that warp pipe and took control of Mario in full 360-degree movement, it was clear, this wasn't just a new Mario game. This was a new era of gaming. But how did Nintendo push past the limits of the hardware to bring such an ambitious vision to life? What technical tricks made Mario's fluid movement and physics feel so perfect? And what hidden glitches, speedrunning exploits, and development secrets still make this game a playground for gamers and developers alike? Let's dive into Super Mario 64, the game that didn't just change the N64. It changed gaming forever. One of Super Mario 64's biggest achievements wasn't even on screen, it was in your hands. The Nintendo 64's analog stick was a game changer, offering precise 360-degree movement at a time when most consoles still relied on digital D-pads. Instead of simple on-off movement, Mario's speed and direction were dictated by how far you tilted the stick. This allowed for smooth transitions between walking, running, tiptoeing, and full sprints, giving players unprecedented control over their character in 3D space. The Z trigger enabled crouching, diving, and long jumps, adding even more depth to movement. Nintendo didn't just make a 3D Mario, they invented the language of 3D platforming, and nearly every 3D game since has followed its lead. Creating a 3D camera system was one of the biggest challenges in gaming's transition from 2D to 3D. Most early 3D games had static or preset camera angles, but Nintendo wanted something more dynamic. Super Mario 64 introduced a fully movable camera, controlled by the C buttons. The game even justified the camera's existence in-universe with Lakitu, the friendly cameraman Koopa. It used adaptive positioning to automatically adjust angles, ensuring Mario was visible while platforming. However, the N64 controller's limitations, no second analog stick, meant the camera wasn't always perfect. Even today, some players find it clunky, but at the time, it was a massive leap forward, and one that paved the way for future 3D games. For its time, Super Mario 64 was visually stunning. Nintendo built the game using polygonal 3D models instead of the 2D sprites that dominated previous Mario games. The game ran at 320 by 240 resolution and used 256 colors, a significant improvement over the SNES. To keep performance smooth, Mario himself had a low-poly model in gameplay and a more detailed version in the pause menu. Textures were limited due to the N64's memory constraints, leading to the infamous blurry textures, but Nintendo masked this by using simple, bold colors and clever shading techniques. The game ran at 30 FPS, though in certain areas, heavy geometry or effects could cause minor dips. Despite its limitations, Super Mario 64's visuals set a new standard for 3D world design, prioritizing smooth animations and responsive gameplay over pure graphical detail. One of the reasons Super Mario 64 still feels so good to play today is its incredible movement system. Mario isn't just moving, he's interacting with the world using momentum-based physics. Mario's movement has weight and acceleration. He doesn't just snap into full speed, but builds momentum. His jump physics allow for air control, letting players tweak their landings mid-air. Slopes, walls, and ledges affect Mario's movement, allowing for wall jumps, slides, and terrain-based momentum. These physics weren't just for show, they gave players an unparalleled sense of freedom. This is why Super Mario 64 became a favorite for speedrunners, as skilled players could exploit the physics to pull off insane movement tricks. One of the biggest limitations of Super Mario 64 was the N64's cartridge-based storage. While CDS, used by the PlayStation and Sega Saturn, could hold up to 700 megabytes, the N64's cartridges maxed out at 64 megabytes. This meant Faster loading times than disc-based games, no need for a memory card, saves were stored directly on the cartridge. Less storage for textures, audio, and full-motion video. As a result, Super Mario 64 had minimal voice acting, just a few lines from Mario, repeating textures due to memory constraints, compressed audio, meaning the music and sound effects weren't as crisp as they could have been on a CD. However, Nintendo worked within these limits brilliantly, focusing on gameplay and level design rather than flashy presentation. Believe it or not, Super Mario 64 wasn't originally planned for the Nintendo 64 at all. Early in development, Shigeru Miyamoto and his team experimented with a 3D Mario game for the Super Nintendo, using the Super FX chip, the same tech that powered Star Fox. This version was never completed, but some early concepts, like Mario's 360-degree movement, came from this prototype. Once the N64 specs were finalized, Nintendo scrapped the SNES version and built Super Mario 64 specifically for their new hardware. This means Mario's first steps into 3D were being tested before the N64 even existed. Like many games, Super Mario 64 had several levels and ideas that were scrapped before release. Some of these were later uncovered through interviews, leaked development files, and even leftover data in the game itself. The mysterious slide level. A deleted stage was discovered in a 1996 Japanese strategy guide, showing an icy, spiraling slide that never made it into the final game. Some fans believe this was an alternate version of Cool Mountain Slide, but no remnants of this level exist in the game's code. The Mario Castletown hub hash. Early development builds suggest Super Mario 64 was originally supposed to feature a larger, open-world hub with a full castle town surrounding Peach's castle. This idea was ultimately scrapped, likely due to hardware limitations, but it resurfaced in Super Mario Odyssey's Mushroom Kingdom stage. The Strange Fact Select screen. Unused text strings found in the game suggest that Super Mario 64 once had a stage selection menu, similar to Super Mario Sunshine's level portals. This was likely removed to emphasize exploration within Peach's castle as a hub world. Few mysteries in gaming have caused as much speculation and debate as the infamous "Hell is Real 2401" message. Inside Big Boo's haunt, a blurry inscription on a statue's plaque seems to read "Hell is Real 2401." For decades, players believed this was a hidden clue that Luigi was secretly in the game. Rumors of unlocking Luigi by collecting 2,401 coins or doing bizarre in-game challenges spread like wildfire, but nothing was ever found. Then, in 2020, a massive Nintendo Giga leak dropped and revealed something shocking. Luigi's model actually was in the game's code. The data dump revealed Luigi's textures, polygons, and even voice clips, confirming that he was planned but ultimately cut. Miyamoto later confirmed that Super Mario 64 was originally meant to have multiplayer, but technical limitations forced them to remove Luigi. So was Hell is Real the real clue? Probably not, but Luigi was meant to be part of the game, after all. While Super Mario 64 introduced new power-ups like the Wing Cap, Vanish Cap, and Metal Cap, some ideas never made the cut. The Blinking Shell. Super Mario 64 lets you ride a Koopa shell in certain levels, but an unused, Blinking Shell power-up was found in the game's code. Its function is unknown, but it may have been an early form of the Metal Cap or a time-limited invincibility item. The Feather from Super Mario World? A feather power-up, like the one from Super Mario World, is referenced in the game's files but never appears. This suggests that Nintendo experimented with different flight mechanics before settling on the Wing Cap. For a game known for its bright, fun atmosphere, Super Mario 64 has some strangely eerie beta elements that make you wonder what Nintendo originally planned. The Eternal Star Texture Medium White Star. Deep in the game's files is an unused ominous black and white texture labeled Eternal Star. Some believe this was part of an unused level or secret ending, though no solid proof exists. The odd Nips the Rabbit placeholder. Nips the Rabbit was used for early AI and collision testing before being kept in the final game as an actual character. Some development files suggest he originally had a bigger role, possibly hiding a secret power-up. The unnerving dumb-it-out sound effects. Unused distorted, slowed-down sound files were found in the game's data, adding to the mystery. It's unclear if these were placeholder sounds or intended for a scrapped haunted level. Super Mario 64 wasn't just a game, it was a revolution. It set the foundation for 3D platforming, defined how movement should feel, and even decades later, it remains a masterclass in game design. From its technical innovations to its mysterious cut content, this game continues to inspire developers, speedrunners, and players alike. Whether you're replaying it for nostalgia or discovering its secrets for the first time, one thing is certain: Super Mario 64 is a legend that will never fade. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on gaming!